Tasha, the last episode of the year.
Hallelujah. Yes, last episode. What you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about, what I was previously talking about before we did the whole switch thing. You remember that?
Oh, girl, that
Anyway,
challenge.
I'm going, the virus that shall not be named.
Oh, God. That was a lame ass
That
name.
is not lame.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes,
well, then
it is.
what would you call it?
I don't know. Beer bug. Oh, ooh, I got one. Swine food part 2. It's something. Seriously. Other than that, come on, man.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Nice But Feisty. I am Mandy Nice, and I don't care if Tasha thinks that my name is lame for the virus that shall not be named. That's what I'm going with, and that's what I'm sticking with. I have this article here from NBC Connecticut, and it talks about, here's the actual title, CDC quietly adjusts COVID. I said it. CDC quietly adjusts the virus that shall not be named death data, showing higher relative toll on Black and Hispanic people. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention quietly revised its estimates for the disproportionately deadly toll of the virus that shall not be named is taking on the communities of color, now reflecting in a much higher burden than previously acknowledged. So again, these are estimates. These are not the actual numbers that have come out just yet. She's just saying that at this time of this article being printed, that she doesn't think that the risk is being assessed properly because the numbers are not being adjusted in the estimates. Please go Google what an estimate is. It's basically an educated guess, if you haven't already Googled it. Okay, so here's what she says. To her, a November letter to the CDC director, Dr. Robert Redfield, Warren said, by failing to adjust the virus that shall not be named mortality rates by age in its public data releases, the CDC may not be providing an accurate assessment of the increased risk of death and serious illness for communities of color related or relative to white Americans of the same age. So you'll understand what I mean what they're talking about in this next paragraph. And please go read this for yourself because I will be skipping around because I have another article I want to go over. After adjusting for age, which is a standard means of measuring disease impact, Hispanic and Black Americans are shown to die at a rate of almost 3 times of white Americans. So let's go back over that again. The estimate that they are giving after they adjusted for age would increase from where it is now to 3 times that of white Americans. Okay? The agency previously said that Hispanic and Black Americans were dying at a rate of 1 or 2 times higher than Caucasians, respectively. The updated analysis also shows that American Indians or Alaskan Natives have died at a rate of 2.6 times that of white Americans. The CDC had previously put that figure at 1.4 times as high as white Americans. So I'm actually going to skip down, and this is why I want you to read it for yourself. Adjusting for age has such an impact on the analysis because people of color are on average significantly younger than non-Hispanic white Americans. Okay, that is very important because older people are more likely to die of the virus that shall not be named than younger people. So let me break this portion of it down really quickly because I really want to go on to my next article. What they're saying is these estimates are being adjusted to show if a group of people are younger than another group of people, then their death toll will not be as high because this particular virus is more deadly to those who are older. So they've adjusted the number of Black and brown communities so that they seem like they're the same age range. And by doing that, then they can now adjust the death toll to see who is dying from this virus. That's it. And based off of their adjustments, they now put the death toll higher for Hispanics, blacks, and natives. Understand? Okay. So now, I'm going to skip down again. Okay? Here we go. Dr. Lena Wynn, former Baltimore Health Commissioner, praised Warren and other advocates who pushed for the CDC to make changes. She applauded the agency for revising the analysis, even if it did come so late in the pandemic, when an emergency room physician and public health professor at George Washington University added that without adjusting for age, it's like comparing apples to oranges. So basically what they were saying is, if they don't make the numbers look like black and white people are the same age, then you would see that the death toll is down here without the adjustment. And again, these are estimates. These are not the actual numbers based off of what is actually happening. Again, this is an estimate, because I have to put that in for you to understand that this is an educated guess of what they think is happening before it happens. Okay? And they do this so that they can plan and figure out if they're going to need more PPE, all of this stuff. That's the justification, but it also is their justification on next steps, which is who's going to need the more than others, because we've adjusted the numbers to a perceived death toll that has not occurred yet. Okay. Now, she goes on to say that because there are underlying issues, all right, that cause for people of color to be impacted differently than white people. And she goes on to list those things, which is that people of color are more likely to have jobs that are deemed essential workers, and that puts them at greater risk of exposure. Not that they're predisposed to getting the virus, but that they're more exposed than other people because they are out doing the work. Okay? Also, they're saying that the people of color are more likely to live in multi-generational housing, which could lead to the spread more easily from younger to older people. Okay? And not only that, they talk about food deserts, where Black Americans are more likely to live in areas that do not have fresh food and vegetables, or even in places that they don't even have a grocery store. So that is a big problem. Whereas white Americans don't have that issue, and they don't live in areas that do not have grocery stores, and that they do not live in areas that, the one place to eat may be just the McDonald's down the street. That's a food desert. Okay? All right. Or not even having maybe a farmer's market for, tens of miles or 20 miles or whatever the case may be. So I just encourage you to please go read that article for yourself, because I did skip around and there's certain things that they're talking about that once you read it, you'll understand. Okay. So my next article that I'm going to be discussing comes from Science Daily. This also will be linked in the description. It is entitled, "Once Hospitalized Black Patients with the Virus That Shall Not Be Named Have a Lower Risk of Death Than White Study Finds." It's dated December 4th. So this is after actual data comes in, not estimates, not a projection. This is after you get actual data of what has happened in the hospitals. Okay? While multiple research studies show that Black and Hispanic patients are more likely to test positive for the virus that shall not be named, a team of investigators at NYU Langone Health has found that once hospitalized Black patients, after controlling for other serious health conditions and neighborhood income, were less likely to have severe illness, die, or become discharged to hospice compared to white patients. So again, this is after actual data has come in and you, again, I want you to go read this for yourself, because they go through a lot of things that I'm not going to, because she's, I don't want to be long-winded. I'm trying not to be long-winded. The study recently published online at JAMA Network Open is, according to its authors, one of the first to examine the impact of comorbid conditions and neighborhood so-called socioeconomic status on outcomes for Black, Hispanic, and Asian patients hospitalized for the virus that shall not be named. Findings indicate that Black and Hispanic populations are not inherently more susceptible to poor the virus that shall not be named outcomes compared to other groups that were once hospitalized. Their outcomes are equal to or better than their white counterparts. We know that Black and Hispanic populations account for a disproportionate share of the virus that shall not be named related deaths related to their population size in New York and major cities across the country. I'm not going to attempt to jack up your name. Y'all go read it for yourself, because my goodness, doctor, I just don't want to mess up your name. I'm not that good at pronunciation of foreign names. I apologize. So you guys go look that up, please. We were, however, surprised to find that Black and Hispanic patients were no more likely to be hospitalized across NYU Legon than white patients, which means we need to look at other structural factors that are at play that are negatively affecting the outcomes in these communities. These factors include poor housing conditions, unequal access to health care, differential employment opportunities, which is what we talked about in the other article, which is they're essential workers, so they're out there and doing all the work, right? So they're not inherently more susceptible, they're just being more exposed because they have to be out there, right? And poverty, and they must be addressed. Okay, so the team, and I'm going to just skip down to the study. So this is what the study finds, and I'm going to talk about the bullet points, and then you guys can go read it again for yourselves. And also let me know what you think about these articles. All right, among the 4,843 patients who tested positive for the virus that shall not be named, 39% were white, 15.7% were Black, 25.9% were Hispanic, 7% were Asian, and 7.4% were multiracial or other. Out of that 4,843, only 2,623 were hospitalized, and of those 2,623 patients that were hospitalized, 39.9% were white, 14.3% were Black, 27.3% were Hispanic, 6.9% were Asian, and 7.9% were multiracial or other. Those hospital patients were older and had higher comorbidity than patients who tested positive that were not hospitalized. So basically, out of the people that were tested, it was 4,000 plus, the patients that actually had to be hospitalized, which were 2,000 plus, those 2,000 plus had higher comorbidities than all of the patients altogether. Okay, all right. So here we go. 7.8% were discharged. 36.3% experienced critical illness. 24.7% died or were discharged to hospice, which I think they need to split that percentage up, just because you don't want to lump it all together, because just because you're discharged to hospice doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to die, although I think that's what they think is going to happen, but I digress. And 4.5% remained hospitalized. And these, again, these numbers are of what actually happened and what they were able to gather, okay? Black and Hispanic patients had a lower risk of critical illness and were less likely to die or be discharged to hospice compared to white patients. After adjusting for age, sex, insurance status, comorbidities, Black patients continue to have a lower risk of death compared to white patients, while Hispanic and Asian patients had a similar rate to white patients. After adjusting for all the above factors, Asian patients had higher odds of being hospitalized than even white patients, even though they were less likely to test positive for the virus that shall not be named. So I encourage you guys to go read this, because basically, you know, relating back to the first article, which is that they are doing estimates and projections. And then when we get the actual data back, which is what the actual scientists and the doctors are actually looking at and seeing what the actual numbers are coming out of the hospital, we see what's going on there. So just use your own thinking and all of that stuff as you go into these winter holidays, which of course I'm going to say happy holidays to you. So happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, happy festivals of lights, all of that stuff. So yeah. Sorry the video is so long, I apologize, but it is the end of the year and this is our last video, and I just wanted to make sure you guys were abreast of everything, all virus that shall not be named, and I hope to see you in 2021, God willing. All right. Bye. Okay, all right. You already know whose turn it is to go second for the last time this year, 2020. Okay. Now, my new way of saying something is weird is actually saying 2020. So it'd be quite 2020 for something like this to go down and throw a monkey wrench in the whole situation. And what I'm talking about is the fact that most people are like, the election is over, you know, let's move on. But there are some other people that's like, nah, this is not over. And I'm like, oh Lord. And because there's been some lawsuits, and a lot of a lot of lawsuits have been thrown out. A couple of them are still pending, but there's some stuff that's going on, and people need to really pay attention, because I don't want y'all to be caught off guard if 2020 happens in 2020, like some real 2020-ish. Just don't be surprised. I'm just saying. Okay, so this article comes from the Texas Tribune. And it is entitled, "In New Lawsuit, Texas Contests Election Results in Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania." Now, because I'm getting this video out late, and I do apologize, because today has been really 2020 for me. I just had a lot of stuff pop up today. But anyway, there have been other states that have now joined this lawsuit against Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So anyway, let's get into it, okay? Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to block the battleground states from casting unlawful and constitutionally tainted votes in the Electoral College. So this article says there's no widespread voter fraud, experts say. Now that's what the experts say, but I done seen some stuff. And that video from the closed circuit security cams at the state arena, that don't look good. I'm just saying, like, outside looking in, and I told y'all I'm an independent voter. I don't care what girlie says, that is such a thing, okay? Ugh. Anyway, that's it. I will have a link in the description. It's at 33 minutes and 30 seconds in that video. The lawyer or whatever that went to because it was a Georgia subcommittee hearing and all that stuff, and they heard arguments and all that. But I'm seriously need y'all to go watch that video. Like I said, 33 minutes and 30 seconds. And then when they go through the closed circuit security cams, it just don't look good. it really don't look good. I would not want to be any one of the 4 people in that video, because I'm just saying, like, y'all might be getting some subpoenas soon. I'm just saying, it's pretty damning. That's all I gotta say. All right, let me get into this real quick, because I ain't trying to be like girly and be here all night. Just saying. Yes, you did take long. Don't. I don't want to hear it. Anyway. Texas attorney Ken Paxton is suing 4 battleground states, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, whose election results handed the White House to the projected winner, because I'm trying to be like, I'm not messing around with this stuff. Y'all ain't gonna flag my shit. Projected winner, Joe Biden. In the suit, he claims that the pandemic-era changes to the election procedures in those states violated federal law and asked the U.S. Constitution to block the states from voting in the Electoral College. The last-minute bid, which legal experts have already categorized as a long shot, came alongside dozens of similar attempts by President Donald Trump, you know what my nickname is for him, and his political allies. The majority of those lawsuits have already failed. Well, some of them are still pending. Not all of them have failed. I'm putting it out there so you are not caught off guard. Because like I said, outside looking in, it's a whole bunch of, it's just a whole bunch of, okay. All right, so I'm gonna skip down a little bit because, like I said, because Ghislaine, I ain't forget about you, girl. I ain't forget about you. So I got another article to get through. All right. So, in the filing to the High Court on Tuesday, Paxton claims that the 4 battleground states broke the law by instituting pandemic-related changes to the election policies, whether through executive fiat or friendly lawsuits, thereby weakening ballot integrity. Okay, let me break this down for you. Basically what he's saying is, with the massive mail-in voting, there was basically no way that they can actually track who voted by mail like that unless you go by the registration rolls. Now, if you go by the registration rolls, you'll see, and this is factual, that there are deceased people still on the voter registration rolls. And that there are some people that were inputted in with certain dates, like I think they said that they put them as 1910 or 1901 or something like that, but they was just entering them in. That's a problem because you got to verify them votes. But I digress. Just saying, there's some shady. It just look real 2020. That's all I got to say. It look real 2020. Paxton claims that these changes allow for voter fraud to occur, a conclusion experts and election officials have rejected, and said that the court should push back the 2014 deadline by which the states must appoint their presidential electors. That deadline, however, should not submit a potentially illegitimate election result in the middle of this storm, attorneys for Texas wrote. Officials in Georgia, where Secretary of State Brad Rosenberger, I said his name wrong. I know I did. I'm sorry about that, Brad. Recertified the state's election results again Monday after the recount. So here's a hiccup on the recount. They haven't done what they call a signature audit. That's a problem. Because how are you going to verify that those are the ballots from those people if the signatures don't match? And if you're not even looking for the signatures to match, then that's kind of, that's a little suspect. Because it's like, why wouldn't you want to make sure that these ballots? And then, of course, the assistant, I'm not sure if it's assistant or just it's the guy that comes out and talks on behalf of Brad and basically said that yes, they did find that felons voted, and yes, they did find that people that were not U.S. citizens who have been categorized with the awful name of illegal aliens have voted. So that's a problem. Just saying, putting it out there. Suspect. Anyway, let me move on. These allegations in the lawsuit are false and irresponsible, says the Georgia Deputy Secretary of State Jordan Fuchs. Dude, that's an effed up name. I don't even like saying that name. Okay, anyway. I'll just say, no, I ain't gonna do it to myself. Anyway, Texas alleges that there were 80,000 forged signatures on absentee ballots in Georgia, but they don't bring forward a single person whom this has happened to. That's because it didn't happen. That I don't know about that claim. That's something totally different than what I just stated, which is this same Jordan guy did say that they found that felons voted, and they found that people that are not U.S. citizens actually casted ballots. That's voter fraud. And for the felons, it's unfortunate because you have to go through a procedure to get your voting rights back, which you would think you serve your debt to society, it should automatically happen. But hey, Anyway, Paxton and Trump are political allies whose interests often line up in court, and Texas challenges the Affordable Care Act. Blah, 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 yakety smackety. I am not getting into all that. I'm gonna skip down. Let me see. So, notably, Paxton himself is listed as an agent and the lead attorney on the case, and a highly unusual role for the state official, who rarely plays a hand-on role even in the state's major cases. Paxton's new Chief Deputy Brent Webster signed into the filing, but conspicuously is absent, and as the agency's top lawyer for the appellate work, Solicitor General Kyle Hawkins. So anyway, just, you know what I'm saying, just keeping y'all abreast of what's going on. Let me move on. Now, on to you, Ghislaine, because I'm not trying to keep this video too long, because oh girlie just, oh Lord, she just took all my damn time. Anyway, this article comes from Yahoo, and it is entitled, Ghislaine Maxwell is losing her hair due to prison conditions, lawyers say. Now, when you got a one percenter like Ghislaine Maxwell that has to go through the prison system where they reserve all of that stuff for either poor people or indigenous people, aboriginal people, black people, poor whites, and Hispanics and all that stuff, they don't care about the prison conditions. But now that she in there, I'm pretty sure they want to care about them prison conditions, because I am pretty sure she's not going to be the only one that's, you know, highfalutin that gonna have to go to prison with all the stuff that's coming out in 2020. Lord have mercy. Anyway, let me get into this. I did not forget about you, Ghislaine. Anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers have complained. You know how many people complain in prison about all that? Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers have complained that she has lost 15 pounds and is losing her hair due to extraordinary onerous conditions in prison. You think I give a flying fuck what happens to a pedophile? No, I do not. Next. The filing by the British socialist lawyer was in response to a letter by the Federal Bureau of Prisons that claimed Maxwell's remains in good health and has a healthy weight of 134 pounds. Her lawyers have renewed their application for bail. No. After previous bids for the release on $5 million in bond was denied by the district judge. It's because they know if they let you out, you gonna run. So they're not letting you go nowhere. They not letting you go nowhere. It's not gonna happen. The fact of the matter is, you now finally see the treatment that happens to regular people, and you don't like it. Maybe, just maybe, you know, after your sentence is done, who knows how long they're gonna have you in there, but maybe you might want to do prison justice reform. Just saying. Anyway, it's obvious that Maxwell is bearing the brunt of BOP incompetence. Oh, now it's incompetence when it's happening to her. But all the other people that are in prison that are suffering horrible conditions, because mind you, I'm pretty sure she is not in general population. Okay? She is not in Gen Pop. So, seriously, you kidding me? Anyway, moving on. Maxwell's lawyers are arguing that she is only being subjugated to tough conditions after her former boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein's death. We know what, look, y'all know, like I know. Have you ever seen a fact check when people sit up there and say Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself? Yeah, you don't see no fact checks on that. Just a note. Just a note. Anyway, ruled as a suicide, which they say was a consequence of negligence by the Bureau of Prisons. No, you're getting treated like a regular person. I don't think you understand that, Ghislaine. That's the reason why this Bureau of Prisons, they like, we ain't treating her no more harshly than the rest of these people in here. That's why they ain't gonna do nothing about it, because they are treating you just like they treat the rest of the people that's in there. The only difference is you ain't in Gen Pop, so you ain't getting popped. I'm just saying. She was arrested in July and is awaiting trial on charges of sex trafficking of a minor and perjury. She pleaded not guilty to the charges against her and of helping the late financier Jeffrey Epstein abuse minor girls in 1990s. Oh, and I don't know if y'all noticed, but somebody on social media was saying that there was a guy in Mexico that snapped a picture of this guy that looks exactly like Jeffrey Epstein. He was like, yo, this dude is in Mexico right now. However, the Bureau of Prisons argues that she is being treated like any other inmate, what I told you, in jail, and has access to education, leisure programs, and a computer. And the filings made on November 25th and unsealed on Monday. Maxwell's lawyer asked for her new bail application to be filed under seal and should not be made public to protect friends and family from harassment and media scrutiny. Boo boo, I suggest you not put that application in because it's going to become public. Because right now you don't understand. All of that stuff that you had is bye-bye. Miss Maxwell was placed under quarantine on November 18th and after coming in contact with an inmate who tested positive for COVID. I don't like saying that because they just do stuff to your videos. Anywho, so I'm going to skip on that. I am going to call it swine flu part 2. So anyway, you got it. You heard. Her lawyer argued that she should stay in a New York hotel until her trial. If you don't get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Seriously. No. She gonna stay her ass in prison. She gonna go to her trial. Then she's gonna get a sentence. Then she gonna serve that sentence. And then she can move on with the rest of her fucking life. Other than that, the link will be in the description. I love you. Bye. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Nice But Feisty with Mandy Nice and Tasha Feisty. Ooh, ooh, yeah. Oh, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And share the video. You heard.